The Philistines set up their camp along the ridge of the Elah. The Israelites pitched their tents on the other side, which left the two armies looking across the ravine at each other. Neither dared to move, as to attack meant descending down the hill and then making a suicidal climb up the enemy's ridge on the other side. Finally, the Philistines had enough. They sent their greatest warrior, Goliath, down into the valley to resolve the deadlock one-on-one. He was a giant, 6'9", wearing a bronze helmet and full body armor. He also carried a javelin, a spear, and a sword. What he wanted was single combat. This was a common practice in the ancient world. Two sides in a conflict would seek to avoid the heavy bloodshed of open battle by choosing one warrior to represent each in a duel. Initially, from the Israelite camp, no one moved. Nobody wanted to battle against such a terrifying opponent. Then, a shepherd boy, David, who had come down to bring food to his brothers, stepped forward and volunteered. David, a small shepherd boy, faced the giant Goliath, and it looked like he had absolutely no chance in this battle. David, however, had no intention of honoring the rituals of single combat. So ancient armies had three kinds of warriors. They were cavalry, armed men on horseback, infantry, foot soldiers wearing armor and carrying swords and shields, and projectile warriors, who were archers and slingers. The three kinds of warriors balanced one another like each gesture in the game of rock, paper, scissors. With their long spikes and armor, infantry could stand up to cavalry. Cavalry could, in turn, defeat projectile warriors, because horses moved too quickly for artillery to take proper aim. And projectile warriors were deadly against infantry, as infantry weighed down with armor were not very mobile and slingers could launch projectiles from 100 yards away. Slingers had a leather pouch attached on two sides by a long strand of rope. David put a rock in the leather pouch of his sling, and whipped it around and around, faster and faster, and he fired the projectile at Goliath's exposed forehead. Goliath fell and couldn't move. David ran towards Goliath, took the giant's sword, and cut off his head. The Philistines saw that their warrior was dead, and they fled. So this is the story of David and Goliath. However, the book is about much more than that. My key takeaway from the book is about how disadvantages can become advantages and how a potential weakness can give us strength. For example, many people are disadvantaged by having dyslexia. This affects their academic achievements and often has a negative impact on their self-esteem and confidence. However, others turn dyslexia into an advantage. An extraordinary high number of entrepreneurs are dyslexic. Famous examples are Richard Branson and Steve Jobs. They succeeded in part because of their disadvantage. Having dyslexia can make people comfortable with failure and willing to take more risks, and that can be a great asset as an entrepreneur. Another great example is David Boies, who is a world-renowned lawyer, and he has dyslexia. He didn't let his weakness stop him. Instead of giving up, he tried harder. Because he couldn't read like the others, he would listen carefully and contently as someone spoke. While his peers in school were daydreaming and not listening to their teacher, he listened carefully, knowing that he won't be able to read the material later. So his memory and listening skills became his greatest strength. This transferred over to the courtroom as a lawyer. He had a great ability to listen to a testimony and notice the change of the pitch and the different intonation that would reveal a weakness in their argument. What was supposed to be a disadvantage turned into his greatest asset. Another example of a disadvantage which can become an advantage is poverty. I was watching a speech by Gary Vaynerchuk a few days ago, and he talked about the poverty he was born in and how he had to walk for 1 hour to Kmart to buy toilet paper, then walk 1 hour back, then spend 1 hour splitting each paper to maximize efficiency. He added, because he had the experience of this extreme poverty, this made him so motivated that today, nobody can outwork him. He had the disadvantage of being born poor, but he turned this into his greatest asset. I think most people will be able to relate to this book because we all see ourselves as underdogs in some areas. If you are feeling disadvantaged in something at the moment, try and think, how can this be turned into an advantage? As Nietzsche said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Thanks for watching, and if you would like to see when I upload new videos like this, then click subscribe.